Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Subriel Matias defeats Malik Hawkins by a 6th round stoppage. Now this fight for the most part was one-way traffic for Subriel Matias. I think the only round where you could have argued Hawkins won was the first round. He was boxing relatively well in that round. Matias wasn't really warmed up, and I would say Hawkins won the first round, but after round 1, basically Subriel Matias turned up the pressure, turned up the work rate, and Malik Hawkins couldn't really live with him. Hawkins didn't have the power to put Matias in his place, and he didn't have the boxing ability to negate the pressure that Matias was putting on him. And round by round, this fight just got harder and harder for Malik Hawkins. In essence, this fight was a beatdown by Subriel Matias. He dominated this fight, and in my opinion, he looked pretty exciting. He looked fairly effective at a certain level, and he got the job done. Like I said earlier, the problem for Malik Hawkins was the fact that, number one, he didn't really have the ability to outbox Subriel Matias, but more importantly, he didn't have the power to put Matias in his place. And Matias realised this basically like second round onwards, and eventually Matias was just coming forwards, hands low, in a real arrogant manner. He didn't care what was coming back unless he got his own work off, and he was getting a lot of his own work off, getting on the inside, working the body very effectively, working up close, hooks to the head, a lot of volume, and Malik Hawkins really didn't have any answers for the inside fighting of Subriel Matias. Malik Hawkins, all he was really doing on the inside was basically holding and trying to spoil. Occasionally he would throw back, but it was few and far in between when Hawkins was actually trading on the inside. And yeah, he just went into a shell really. I think he was intimidated by Subriel Matias. He couldn't match the output of Matias, and he couldn't match the power of Matias, and basically he brought a lemon to a knife fight, essentially, and he got outgunned in this fight. Matias, in this fight, looked a lot better than his last fight against the Eastern European gentleman. I think it was Petros Anayan, where Matias lost that fight, and that fight was his first fight after the tragic Maxim Dadashev fight. And in that fight with Anayan, he really looked out of sorts. The pressure wasn't there, the intensity wasn't there, and it looked like a guy who was still suffering from that tragic fight. But in this fight, I felt Subriel Matias looked like his old self. He turned the pressure up to 100, he was throwing a lot of shots, throwing shots with bad intentions, and yeah, he rebounded from that defeat to Petros Anayan, which is good to see. And yeah, I think Subriel Matias is certainly a decent contender at 140, and he's another guy to add to the hat really. You know, 140 right now is a stacked division, and I certainly think Matias is a decent contender, you know. Potentially he could challenge for a title in the future. I would like to see him avenge that defeat to Petros Anayan. I think that would be a good look, but you know, failing that, there are some names out there who Matias could fight. It looks like Matias has some ties to the PBC, so why not Subriel Matias versus Mario Barrios? I think that would be a great fight at 140. That would be a great fight for Matias. So, listen, with this win, Matias puts himself back in the mix. And yeah, in my opinion, he looked fairly good. You know, he carried out his game plan, which was immense pressure. And Malik Hawkins really didn't have any answers for it. Hawkins, you know, showed bravery. He was getting beat up in this fight. And, you know, he had no quit in him, but ultimately he didn't have what it took to deal with Subriel Matias. And Matias could be a tricky night's work for a lot of fighters at 140. If Matias is on his game and 100%, Matias is not an easy guy to deal with. He's got a good chin, he's durable, and he applies immense pressure. So yeah, Matias, good performance. I enjoyed watching it. I do like his style of fighting, and it's good to see him back in the mix now. You know, he's a good fighter. So yeah, I enjoyed this fight. I enjoyed the performance. We'll see where he goes next. Share your thoughts below. What did you make of Subriel Matias? Where does he go next? Peace.